Sensations of another time and place hit the Night Haunter with the force of a collapsing building. His prey wheeled away into a tiny black dot. Other sights burgeoned in his place, swelling from motes of sapphire light to scenes of living reality. Two laid over each other in complex interdimensionality, differing images pushing through each other, yet remaining whole. He saw himself, taken with a moment's doubt, a questioning of his assumptions that had him pause as the boy pushed himself backwards along the rooftop, and Night Haunter extended a savior's hand instead of an executioner's blow. Hesitantly, the boy stopped. The boy reached out. The boy, Curze. The name came to him from unrealized futures. The boy grew under his guidance. His horizons expanded beyond the criminal margins that had trammeled him. A life of good works beckoned, more killers taken from the streets and changed, like he from murderers to mentors. By the spreading of the word of the Night Haunter, each transformed soul, a little force to the lever of change until, with rushing power, the rules of blood were scratched out and a new social contract took hold. For this, the boy thanked the Night Haunter, and he was loved for the change he brought. This happened, but this also happened. The Night Haunter saw himself taken with a moment's doubt, a questioning of assumptions that had him pause as the boy pushed himself backwards along the rooftop, and Night Haunter extended a savior's hand instead of an executioner's blow. The boy took his chance and rammed his knife hard into the Night Haunter's side, some fluke pushing it through the armored box of his ribcage and into the meat of his primary heart. That would not kill him. It could not, but it hurt. Oh, it hurt. And the boy, Curze. Same boy, different future.
Games Workshop over the last few years has seen major growth in its intellectual property, with Primarchs being some of the most compelling and mysterious figures in Warhammer 40k. Despite their prominence, much about them remains unclear, with only fragments of lore coming from the Primarch project or the novels providing any kind of insight. Their returns to the setting generate immense fan speculation and significant revenue for Games Workshop. Since Gulliman's return and the Lion's recent resurgence, fans have been speculating about who might return next, with popular guesses including Russ or Vulcan. I've explored this before, see my Blood Angels Twin Primarch Theory video, but today I want to delve into the potential return of the Night Lords Primarch, Konrad Curze, or more specifically, his successor. For anyone who has not read the Night Lords Trilogy, of which I seriously suggest you do, major spoilers will be ahead. That's your warning, do with it what you will. Hello everyone, and welcome back. After a busy few months of relocating from the UK to Canada, I'm finally back to making videos. Thank you to all those who have subscribed, interacted, and supported the channel in my absence. Your kind comments and support have gone a very long way into making this a much less stressful experience. This channel is first and foremost my way of learning more about the Warhammer 40k lore, while also finding ways to express myself creatively. If you enjoy the content, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe to feed that ever mythical algorithm. For those who wish to go further, consider supporting the channel via the membership or on the Patreon. I'm working on adding some exclusive benefits for Patreon supporters in the next few months, so feel free to keep an eye out for that. As of uploading this video, the channel is approaching 2,000 subscribers, something I actually never thought I'd be able to say. Maybe this video will be the thing that just pushes it over that edge. Anyway, without further ado, let us begin.
The 8th Legion has many futures. I believe Konrad Curze, Primarch of the Night Lords, sacrificed himself for just one of those futures. From the excerpt I used at the beginning of the video, Konrad has chased down a young criminal, and during this confrontation, Curze sees two possible futures for the youth, of which in both, we also see two dramatically different views of Nostromo. One of justice and redemption, where the young man is spared by Konrad and grows under his guidance. The world changes for the better, and the people grow to love the Primarch for this. In the next vision, Konrad spares the boy, only to be stabbed by him when the young man offers aid. The boy escapes, grows to cause more pain and destruction, and Nostromo suffers for this. The irony of this is that Konrad believes himself to be a slave to prophecy, yet here he chooses a third option, an option he did not foresee. Konrad kills the boy, taking fate into his own hands. Perhaps under the guidance of the Emperor, Konrad would have seen prophecy in the way it is consistently portrayed in 40k, a possibility, not a guarantee. This is even emphasized soon after in the text. Curze had no faith in humanity. He saw, but he did not process the knife lying some meters away, fallen from its sheath, far too far away for the boy to have grabbed it, and he did not remember what could have been. The knife is explicitly stated to have been out of reach of the youth. In other words, the vision of the boy stabbing Konrad could not possibly have happened. Perhaps Konrad's insanity had shown him this false vision, an early sign of the broken creature he was. Konrad hated his legion. He hated himself, and he knew that both he and his sons had no place in the galaxy. Konrad actively made an effort to remove the poison of his legion by destroying their homeworld of Nostromo. He saw the Emperor order his death, and with this saw vindication. But perhaps Konrad saw more. Konrad always believed that he became the sinner in order to bring salvation to the world, that self-sacrifice was his burden to bear, not just his life, but his own personal legacy. Konrad had to die a monster for a better future. Perhaps Curze saw a future in which his legion is reborn, a future where the Eighth knows its true purpose, to spread justice across the galaxy with fear as a means, not an end. Not for the Emperor, but for themselves. And this future begins with self-sacrifice at the hands of the Emperor's assassin, to which he figuratively passes the baton onto one of the few sons he has some affection for, and the spiritual successor to his visions, Talos. As to me, Talos' story truly begins on that fated day, a day that would start a 10,000-year chain of events that would lead the once apothecary to finish the work his father started, cutting out the poison of their legion. Talos, from the beginning of the Night Lords Trilogy, much like his father, hates his legion. They are broken, weak, corrupted, and without purpose. Throughout the books, Talos is progressively bombarded with visions of the future. Visions that rendered Talos unconscious during crucial moments. Visions that were unclear and unreliable to the point that Talos barely had any stock in them. In the beginning, he would speak of these futures while under their thrall, allowing the Night Lords to learn from them. But as time went on, he was no longer able to speak of them while in his unconscious state, nor could he remember them when he awoke. These episodes of foresight could last anywhere from a few minutes to months at a time. Talos is unique as a Night Lord, and even as an Astartes, due to his gene seed not quite being compatible. Commonly, were a recruit to be incompatible with their implanted gene seed, they wouldn't survive the process, or they wouldn't last very long as an Astartes before their body gave out. Talos, however, has lived for over 300 years with a gene seed that is constantly trying to improve him, yet unable to. As a result, it started killing him. Varial nodded, allowing himself the smallest of smiles.
Mature progenoid glands will always react with a subsistent level of activity, a base level of processing genetic matter, collecting a biological record of the experiences and traumas of the warrior they serve.
I know how progenoids function, brother. Varial raised a hand to placate the prophet.
That is my point. Yours have always been overactive, as we already knew. Much too efficient. They rendered your physiology unstable, and were, perhaps the cause of your prophetic visions. Now, however, they are in rebellion. Previously, they were still trying to improve you, from human to one of the legions of Astartes. But that development was a dead end. You could improve no more. You were already one of us. Their over-efficiency has now passed a critical juncture. In many ways, the implanted organs would wither and die within your body. Yours are too strong. They are affecting the host, rather than withering themselves.
As I said, pain while I draw breath, but it is not terminal. Varial conceded the point with a flash of thought in his pale eyes.
Perhaps. Either way, removal of the progenoids is no longer an option. It would make no difference, for your organs are already...
Talos interrupted with an irritated wave of his hand, as if giving the order to fire. Enough. I can read the accursed hololithics. Come, Varial. Deal with the wounded, and let us retake Segalza. The flare exhaled slowly. The dim illumination of the side chamber painted the skinned faces across his pauldrons in a greasy, pallid light. What is it? Asked Talos.
Were you to die, and a suitable host be found for your gene seed organs, there is a chance the new host would carry the same curse as you, but with the ability to control it. Your gene seed is uncorrupted, but unsuited to you. In a better host, with true symbiosis, they would be...
Be what? His dark eyes flickered with thought now, possibilities playing out in their depths. Varial was staring at the charts.
Powerful. Imagine your prophetic gift without the false visions that increase as time passes, or the headaches that drive you to your knees, or the unconsciousness that lasts weeks or months. Imagine it without the broken memory, or the other deliberating symptoms that plague you now. When you die, brother, you will leave a powerful legacy for the future.
And this leads me to the next part. Talos' part to play in the salvation and rebirth of his legion. In the finale of the Night Lords Trilogy, Talos and what remains of the 10th Company are on the run from an Eldar fleet. Outgunned and outnumbered, they make for planetfall on their second homeworld of Segalza, planning to draw the Eldar into the Night Lord's old fortress monastery and take out as many of them as they can in one last glorious final hunt. Varial the Flayer, a Red Corsair's apothecary now turned Night Lord, had been entrusted by Talos with the remaining gene seed reserves of the 8th Legion, with orders to flee the system while Talos and his brothers drew the Eldar's attention. During this time, Varial is able to listen in on the communications of the Eldar, translating their conversations. From this, he learned that the Eldar has specifically sought out Talos due to their seer's prophecies of him reforming the 8th Legion and bringing death and destruction to their people. After many hours of fighting in the dark forgotten depths of their fortress, Talos would eventually sacrifice himself in a one-on-one duel against the Phoenix Lord Jain Zar, detonating a multitude of grenades he'd collected from his fallen brothers, ending his own life and severely crippling the Phoenix Lord. His gene seed, however, would survive, allowing Varial the opportunity to extract it and pass on the gift of prophecy to a future Night Lord. Two of the most compelling characters within the Night Lord Trilogy are two humans that for the majority of the books go by Septimus and Octavia. Septimus was an Ostramo slave who belonged to Talos. He was a skilled pilot and artificer who frequently spent his time flying around First Claw in their Thunderhawk or repairing their battle armor, and was Talos' 7th slave, hence the name Septimus, which is the Latin translation of the word seventh. Simple enough. Octavia originally went by the name Eurydice Mavalian before her capture and enslavement by Talos. Octavia was a navigator to a rogue trader, though during the excavation of an asteroid which had once been part of the Night Lord's destroyed homeworld of Nostramo, she was captured and taken by the 8th Legion. She'd later be given the name Octavia, which unsurprisingly translates to 8th, and eventually become the sole navigator of the 10th Company's ship, the Covenant of Blood, then the Echo of Damnation after that. Septimus and Octavia had a strained relationship at first, of which would later develop to feelings of affection and love. Not something you'd expect to see in a book about a traitor legion, but as the saying goes, love finds a way. Octavia and Septimus, despite their better judgment, gave in to these feelings, and Octavia became pregnant. Not only was this a massive risk to her role as the navigator, of which Talos greatly disapproved, leading him to beat Septimus to within an inch of his life, but also, oddly enough, an omen. Humans on board ships like these were almost always sterile, due to the background corruption of having spent so much time within the warp. A point of this is even made with the side character of the Voidborn, a young girl born on board the ship, the only child on a ship of thousands. This child is why I made this video.
I told you to leave. I ordered it.
Master, the external Vox speakers crackled back.
Go, damn you. When he next glanced at the gunship, he could see the two figures more clearly. They sat side by side in the pilot's thrones. You are formally discharged from my service. He slurred the words as he boxed them, and started laughing again. For the second time. The gunship stayed aloft, engines giving out their strained whine, blasting hot air across the battlements. The voice rasping over the Vox was female this time.
Talos.
Run far from here and all the death this world offers. Flee to the last city and catch the next vessel off-world. The Imperium is coming. They will be your salvation. But remember what I said. We are all slaves to fate. If Varial escapes this madness alive, he will come for the child one night, no matter where you run.
He might never find us.
Talos's laughter faded, though he kept the smile. Pray that he doesn't.
Now we come to the point of all this. Before Talos's death, he ordered Septimus and Octavia to flee, telling them that Varial will one day come for their child. It isn't clear if Talos saw this happen in a vision or if he just knows that Varial will seek them out purely by logistics, but seemingly so, that is what happened. At the end of the book, we see a nameless Night Lord escorted by Varial into a chamber filled with the largest gathering of the 8th Legion commanders in 10,000 years. It was here that this Night Lord tells many of those present of their foreseen deaths, leading them to question if the rumors are true, and that Talos survived Sagalsa. We then get a complete description of the Night Lord. The Aquila on his chest, broken and cracked, much like Talos. A single-shouldered cloak of flayed flesh, as Uzos wore. His skull-faced helm crested by the ceremonial wings of the 8th, Zal. Black lightning bolt tears like cracks in the bone wept from his eyes. Syrian. A twin-barreled bolter on his hip, etched with the name of Malkarian. And lastly, the stolen Blood Angel's relic power sword, Arum.
Its once golden length was discolored silver, evidence of a recent reforging.
Famously wielded by Talos. A perfect amalgamation and tribute to the original members of First Claw. And at last,
My name is Decimus, the Night Lord replied, the prophet of the 8th Legion.
Decimus, the 10th. More likely than not, the child of Septimus and Octavia. It looks like Varial did indeed find them. What happened to them, we don't know, and I expect we never will. That is the nature of 40k after all. I had at first thought that maybe Decimus was their second child, seeing how the 9th was skipped, until I did a quick reread and realised that Talos' 9th slave, Maruk, was indeed given the name Nonus, meaning 9th. However, it was only mentioned exactly 3 times, all within quick succession of each other, so I had completely forgotten about it. Finding this saved me a lot of time on wasted speculation, so phew. Throughout the books, prophecy has been a major focus of the story. Each of Talos' visions led to this moment. Go to Nostramo, find Octavia. Go to Crive Prime, get the Titan Princeps that creates the Scream. Visions of the Blood Angels attacking, Octavia is now Navigator. Go to Sagausa, die. Well, you get it by now. Each event led to by prophecy, each providing a missing piece to the whole, all beginning with the death of Konrad Curze. I believe that Konrad and Talos both saw this possible future. Konrad was unable to cure his legion of the poison that he hated so much. Yes, he was insane, his mind a broken mess, but in points of lucidity, he was clear of what his role was. To be the sinner, to do what had to be done, to spare those the same fate and role. In Talos, he saw one of the few who shared his vision, and in his death entrusted Talos with the next stages of the ape's rebirth. Talos unknowingly continued his plan. He saw in the Legion the same his father did. Only near the end did he see something his father never mentioned. A chance. At the end of the book, Talos genuinely believes the Legion can be reformed. He puts everything on the line to save the future of the Night Lords, himself included. Blowing himself up with a boatload of grenades, a risk to his gene seed. Gene seed he knew held the future of his Legion. Was that a calculated risk? Blind determination to end the one that killed his brothers? Or maybe he did actually see that Decimus would inherit his plans. As for Decimus, his mother, Octavia, the 8th, found on the remnants of the broken Nostramo, enslaved, forced into service of the Night Lords, reforged in the crucibles of war to be more than her past, reborn with purpose. He doesn't just wear all these markers of First Claw purely as tribute to them, but as a matter of pride. First Claw's role and sacrifice is significant to the future of the Night Lords, whether they knew it or not. But Decimus knows this. Decimus is proud of his bloodline, and literally sees the potential in this broken brotherhood, wielding a reforged sword once held by the previous prophet. All of this is quite poetic. Well, I have a little bit more, and once again it does rely heavily on the popular Primarchs having minor warp god souls theory. I have a few videos going over my thoughts on this theory and how I think it could work, and to save myself repeating them, I'll add links of those videos in the description as well as have links to them at the end of the video. I believe that Curze's soul could be adrift in the warp, much like Ferris's and Sanguinius's are believed to be, waiting for a new host, someone capable and worthy of possessing such power and responsibility. And Decimus could be this host. We know very little of Decimus as he now is. His own story has barely even begun, but what we do know is that 10,000 years of Night Lord history has all built up to this point. As far as I'm concerned, the story of the Night Lords is all just an origin story for the new Primarch of the Night Lords. Decimus, born of the 8th, prophet of the 8th, Primarch of the 8th.
Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope this video provided a reasonable means of entertainment for anyone who watched it, whether you're a long-time hardcore fan of the 40k setting, new to the setting entirely, or just recently getting back into it like myself. To be clear, this is all speculation. I have no idea what Games Workshop or the writers of Black Library are up to, and I'm purely just speaking out loud and casting it out into the warp. Or in this case, the internet. If this video has piqued your interest at all and you haven't read the books yourselves, then first of all, how did you even manage to get through this entire video? And secondly, read these fucking books. You won't regret it. And if you do, tell me how much you regretted it in the comments down below. So, what are your thoughts? Did the Emperor plan for his son's deaths with the intention of just bringing them back when he felt like it? What do you think of the theory of Primarchs having minor warp god souls? Does Decimus have a bright, grimdark future ahead of him? Or is he just another character we're never going to hear from again?
Let's feed the algorithm gods.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, donate. Do all, do none. You choose your own fate. Thanks again for watching, my friends, and ta for now.
You say it like it's a curse. I am a warrior. Octavia licked her dry lips before speaking. What did you want to do with your life? She asked. I told you the truth. I'd always dreamed of guiding such a warship, and for better or worse, fate gave me what I wished for. But what about you? Do you mind if I ask? Talos laughed again, the same whispering chuckle, and tapped the defiled Aquila emblazoned across his chest. I wanted to be a hero. A moment later, he masked his scarred face behind his skulled helm. Red eye lenses stared at her, devoid of all emotion. And look how that worked out.